Welcome to the Mind Shelf, where we explore the power of mindset transformation and personal growth. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most crucial skills for mental well-being: learning how to stop negative thoughts before they take control of your life. If you've ever found yourself trapped in cycles of worry, self-doubt, or pessimistic thinking, this comprehensive guide will provide you with scientifically backed strategies and practical techniques to reclaim your mental freedom. Understanding the nature of negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are an inevitable part of the human experience. Every person on Earth deals with them, from fleeting moments of self-doubt to persistent patterns of worry and catastrophic thinking. What makes the difference between those who thrive and those who struggle isn't the absence of negative thoughts. It's how we respond to them. The human brain has evolved with what psychologists call a negativity bias, a tendency to focus more on negative experiences than positive ones. This evolutionary feature once helped our ancestors survive by staying alert to potential threats. But in our modern world, this same mechanism can work against us. Our minds become like Teflon for good experiences while being Velcro for bad experiences, causing us to overlook the positive aspects of our lives while fixating on problems. Research shows that our minds remember and react more strongly to negative stimuli than positive ones. This biological predisposition means that without conscious intervention, we naturally drift toward pessimistic thinking patterns. Understanding this isn't meant to discourage you. It's meant to normalize your experience and show you that overcoming negative thinking requires intentional effort and practice. The anatomy of negative thought spirals. Negative thoughts rarely exist in isolation. They tend to create what mental health professionals call thought spirals. One negative thought triggers another, which triggers another, creating a cascade of increasingly distressing mental content. For example, a single thought like, "I made a mistake at work," can quickly spiral into "I'm incompetent," then "I'm going to get fired," and eventually, "I'm a failure at everything." These spirals are maintained by several cognitive patterns. Catastrophic thinking, immediately jumping to worst-case scenarios without considering more likely outcomes. All or nothing thinking, seeing situations in black and white terms with no middle ground. Personalization, automatically blaming yourself for negative events even when they're outside your control. Mind reading, assuming you know what others are thinking, usually something negative about you. Fortune telling, predicting negative outcomes without evidence to support these predictions. The key to breaking free from these patterns lies in recognizing them early and implementing specific strategies before they gain momentum. The science behind thought control. Modern neuroscience has revealed fascinating insights about our ability to influence our thought patterns. The concept of neuroplasticity. The brain's ability to reorganize and form new neural connections shows us that we're not prisoners of our current thinking habits. Through consistent practice of specific techniques, we can literally rewire our brains to default to more balanced and constructive thought patterns. When we practice techniques like mindfulness, thought labeling, or cognitive reframing, we strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for executive function, decision-making, and emotional regulation. This strengthening allows us to create more space between stimulus and response, giving us the power to choose how we react to challenging thoughts. Dr. Daniel Siegel, a prominent psychiatrist and author, developed the Name It to Tame It technique based on neurological research showing that the simple act of labeling our mental states activates the prefrontal cortex and helps regulate the emotional centers of the brain. This scientific understanding provides a solid foundation for the practical techniques we'll explore. Strategy 1. The pause method. The foundation of stopping negative thoughts lies in learning to pause before they spiral out of control. The pause method, developed by mental health professionals, provides a structured approach to interrupting negative thought patterns before they dominate your mental landscape. Pause a moment. The moment you notice stress, anxiety, or negative thinking patterns emerging consciously, pause. This isn't about stopping your thoughts entirely. That's impossible and counterproductive. Instead, you're creating a moment of space between the initial negative thought and your automatic reaction to it. Focus your awareness on the world around you through your 5 senses. What can you see, hear, feel, smell, or taste in this moment? This sensory grounding pulls you out of your mental activity and into present moment awareness. Eidonat, assess the difference. Once you've paused, assess the difference between being stuck in your thoughts versus experiencing the present moment through your senses. Notice what you've been doing in your mind. Were you arguing with yourself? Struggling to disprove negative self-evaluations? Trying to push unpleasant thoughts away? Ask yourself honestly, is this mental struggle serving me well? Most of the time, you'll discover that the mental wrestling match you've been engaged in isn't helping you solve problems or feel better. It's just creating more distress. You understand through labeling. If your mental struggle isn't serving you, practice stepping back and labeling your thoughts for what they are. Mental events, not literal truths. Try adding the prefix, I am having the thought that, to your negative thoughts. For example, instead of I'm stupid, practice thinking I'm having the thought that I'm stupid. This simple linguistic shift creates psychological distance between you, the observer, and your thoughts, the observed. Continue this labeling practice without trying to soften, change, or avoid whatever thoughts arise. The goal is to notice what it feels like to have some distance between yourself and your mental content. S. Select your response. After you've paused from mental struggle, assessed what's happening, and labeled your thoughts for what they are. Temporary mental weather that will come and go. You're better positioned to select your intention and next steps. Are you going to continue struggling with your thoughts? Or will you choose to take a small step towards something meaningful in your life? This choice point is where real power lies. Not in controlling your thoughts, but in choosing your response to them. Engage with purpose. Finally, engage with purposeful action. This might mean returning to a task you are working on, connecting with a friend, engaging in physical exercise, or simply continuing with your day while carrying your thoughts more lightly. The pause method becomes more effective with practice. Initially, you might only remember to use it after you're already deep in a negative spiral. That's completely normal. With time and repetition, you'll begin to catch negative thoughts earlier in their development, giving you more power to redirect your mental energy constructively. Strategy 2, the catch, check, change technique. Clinical psychologist Dr. Neha Khurana developed the catch it, check it, change it strategy as a practical tool for managing negative thoughts in real time. This technique is particularly effective because it works with your thoughts rather than against them, acknowledging their presence while helping you evaluate their accuracy and usefulness. Catching the thought. The first step involves developing awareness of your negative thoughts as they arise. When you notice a negative emotion building frustration, anxiety, worry, or distress, immediately pause and catch your thought. Ask yourself, what exactly is running through my head right now? This catching phase requires practice because negative thoughts often operate below conscious awareness. They influence our mood and behavior without us explicitly noticing their content. Common negative thoughts might include, I can't handle this. Everyone thinks I'm incompetent. This always happens to me. I'm not good enough. Things never work out for me. The key is to catch these thoughts as close to their origin as possible, before they trigger a cascade of related negative thinking. Checking the accuracy. Once you've caught the negative thought, the next step is to check its accuracy and helpfulness. Ask yourself 3 essential questions. Is this thought helpful? Does believing this thought help me solve problems, feel better, or take constructive action? Or does it mainly increase my distress without leading to positive outcomes? Is this thought objectively true? What evidence supports this thought? What evidence contradicts it? Am I stating facts or making assumptions? Is this negative self-talk? Am I being harsh with myself in a way I wouldn't be with a good friend? Am I using absolute language, always, never, completely, that doesn't reflect reality? Most negative thoughts fail one or more of these tests. They're often unhelpful ruminations that increase distress without solving problems. They're based more on fears and assumptions than facts, and they involve self-criticism that's harsher than we'd apply to others. Changing to a more balanced perspective. The final step involves changing the thought to be more accurate and constructive. The goal isn't to force positive thinking or deny legitimate concerns. It's to replace inaccurate, unhelpful thoughts with more realistic, balanced perspectives. For example, if you failed a test and caught the thought, "I'm stupid and I'm going to fail this class," you might check and find that this thought is harsh self-talk that's not objectively true or helpful. You could change it to, "That test was challenging, and I could have prepared better. I'll learn from this experience and do better next time." The changed thought acknowledges the situation honestly, without catastrophizing or engaging in character assassination. It focuses on specific behaviors that can be improved rather than fixed character traits that can't be changed. Practice scenarios. Let's work through some common scenarios. Scenario 1. You make a mistake during a presentation at work. Catch. Everyone thinks I'm incompetent now. Check. Is this helpful? No, it increases anxiety without solving anything. Is it true? Unlikely. One mistake doesn't define competence. Is it harsh self-talk? Yes, you're catastrophizing. Change. I made a mistake, but everyone makes mistakes. I can learn from this and do better next time. Scenario 2. A friend doesn't respond to your text message quickly. Catch. They're mad at me. Or, they don't want to be friends anymore. Check. Is this helpful? No, it creates anxiety. Is it true? You have no evidence of this. Is it harsh self-talk? Yes, you're assuming the worst. I change. They might be busy or they might not have seen my message. I'll give them time to respond. The catch, check, change technique becomes more automatic with practice, eventually allowing you to reframe negative thoughts almost instantaneously. Strategy 3. Mindful observation and cognitive defusion. One of the most powerful approaches to managing negative thoughts involves changing your relationship with them rather than trying to eliminate them entirely. Mindful observation and cognitive defusion techniques help you see thoughts as temporary mental events rather than absolute truths that demand your belief and emotional reaction. The observer self. Mindfulness practices help you develop what psychologists call the observer self, a part of your consciousness that can watch your thoughts and emotions without being consumed by them. From this observer perspective, you can notice negative thoughts arising without automatically believing them or acting on them. Imagine sitting by a river watching leaves float downstream. Some leaves are beautiful, others are damaged or unappealing, but you don't jump into the river to grab the good ones or stop the bad ones. You simply observe them pass by. Your thoughts can be approached in the same way. The name it to tame it technique. Dr. Daniel Siegel's name it to tame it technique provides a simple but powerful method for creating distance between yourself and your thoughts. When negative thought patterns arise, you mentally label them without judgment, then let them go. For example, negative thoughts arising. I notice worry thoughts. Your thinking is happening. Your radio doom and gloom is playing again. Dark clouds of thought alert. You can even add humor to this process, which helps reduce the emotional charge of negative thoughts. The act of naming activates your prefrontal cortex, the rational, reflective part of your brain, which helps regulate the emotional centers that get triggered by negative thinking. After naming the thought pattern, shift your attention back to the present moment. Focus on what you can sense right now, what you see, hear, feel, smell, or taste. This grounds you in reality rather than in mental projections about the past or future. The thoughts on trial method. Another powerful cognitive diffusion technique involves putting your thoughts on trial. Examining them as a neutral judge might examine evidence in a courtroom. When a negative thought arises, imagine you're a judge evaluating the evidence for and against this thought. Ask yourself, what evidence supports this thought? What evidence contradicts it? What would I tell a friend who had this same thought? What would a neutral observer say about this situation? Am I confusing thoughts with facts? This process helps you recognize that thoughts are not facts. They're interpretations, assumptions, and mental habits that may or may not reflect reality accurately. The leaf on a stream visualization. Many therapists recommend the leaf on a stream visualization for letting go of intrusive thoughts. When a negative thought arises, imagine placing it on a leaf and watching it float down a stream. You don't have to make the leaf move faster or slower. You simply observe it drifting away naturally. This technique acknowledges the thought without fighting it or holding on to it. Fighting negative thoughts often increases their intensity and frequency. The white bear effect. While holding on to them feeds their growth, gentle observation and release offers a middle path. Strategy 4. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. When negative thoughts create intense anxiety or overwhelm, grounding techniques can quickly bring you back to the present moment and interrupt the spiral. The 5-4-3-2-1 technique is particularly effective because it engages all your senses and holds your attention outside of negative thought processes. Here's how it works. 5 things you can see. Look around and identify 5 things you can see. Name them either out loud or in your head. For example, I can see my coffee mug, the tree outside my window, my book on the table, a pen on my desk, and the lamp in the corner. Focus on really seeing these objects, their colors, shapes, textures, and details. 4 things you can feel or touch. Identify 4 things you can feel through physical sensation. This might include, I can feel the chair supporting my back, my feet on the floor, the texture of my shirt, and the temperature of the air on my skin. You can also actively touch objects around you, the smooth surface of a desk, the rough texture of a wall, the softness of a pillow. 3 things you can hear. Listen carefully and identify 3 sounds in your environment. I can hear cars passing outside, the hum of the air conditioner, and the sound of my own breathing. Don't judge these sounds as good or bad. Simply notice them. 2 things you can smell. This one might be more challenging depending on your environment, but try to identify 2 scents. I can smell my coffee and the faint scent of the candle I lit earlier. If you can't detect distinct smells, you might simply notice the smell of the air, or no particular smell. 1 thing you can taste. Finally, notice what you can taste. This might be the lingering taste of something you ate or drank, or simply the taste of my mouth. The goal is to bring awareness to this sensory experience. Why this technique works. The 5-4-3-2-1 technique works because it forces your brain to focus on sensory input rather than on internal mental activity. Negative thought spirals exist in your mind's projections about the past or future. But sensory experiences exist only in the present moment. When you're engaged with your senses, you're automatically grounded in the here and now, which is the only place where you have actual power to make choices and take action. This technique is particularly useful during panic attacks, intense worry episodes, or moments when negative thoughts feel overwhelming. Strategy 5. Eliminating should thoughts. One of the most toxic forms of negative thinking involves should statements. Rigid expectations about how you, others, or life in general should be. These thoughts create unnecessary suffering by constantly measuring reality against idealized standards that may be unrealistic or counterproductive. Common should patterns. Should thoughts often fall into several categories. Self-directed shoulds. I should be more productive. I should be happier. I should be further along in my career by now. I should be able to handle this better. I should never make mistakes. Other directed shoulds. My partner should understand me without me having to explain. And my boss should recognize my hard work. People should be more considerate. My friends should call me more often. Life-directed shoulds. Life should be fair. Things should be easier. Bad things shouldn't happen to good people. Success should come naturally. The problem with should thinking. Should statements create suffering in several ways. They set up internal conflict. When reality doesn't match your should, you experience frustration, disappointment, and self-criticism. They prevent acceptance. Should thinking keeps you fighting against what is, rather than working with current reality to create positive change. They often reflect perfectionism. Many should statements are based on unrealistic standards that no human could consistently meet. They create victim mentality. When you focus on how things should be different, you can lose sight of your power to influence what actually happens. Transforming should statements. The goal isn't to eliminate all standards or expectations, but to replace rigid shoulds with more flexible and realistic thinking. Replace I should be with I would prefer to be, or I'm working toward, instead of I should be more confident. Try I would like to build more confidence and I can take steps toward that goal. Replace they should with I would prefer if, or I can request, instead of my partner should know I'm stressed. Try I would prefer if my partner understood my stress level so I can communicate more clearly about it. Replace life should with I wish, or I can work with, instead of life should be easier. Try I wish some things were easier and I can look for ways to simplify what's within my control. This shift from should to prefer or can moves you from victim mentality to empowered response. You acknowledge your desires and values while accepting current reality as your starting point for positive action. Strategy 6. Positive rumination and mental rebalancing. While most people are familiar with negative rumination, repeatedly thinking about problems, worries, or regrets, few people practice positive rumination intentionally. Dr. Russell Howes suggests dedicating equal time to positive mental content as a way to counteract the brain's natural negativity bias. The practice of positive rumination, when you catch yourself ruminating on negative memories, worries, or problems, challenge yourself to spend an equivalent amount of time focusing on positive experiences, memories, or possibilities. This isn't about forced positive thinking or denying legitimate concerns. It's about creating balance in your mental diet. Categories for positive rumination: past positive experiences, vacations you enjoyed, accomplishments you're proud of, times when you helped someone, moments of genuine happiness or joy, challenges you successfully overcame, kind things people have said about you, present positive realities, people you care about and who care about you, skills and abilities you possess, the progress you've made on goals, small pleasures available right now, opportunities currently available to you, future positive possibilities, goals you're working toward, experiences you're looking forward to, ways you might grow and develop, contributions you could make, adventures you might have. The taking in the good practice. Neuropsychologist Rick Hansen developed the taking in the good practice to help counteract the brain's tendency to let positive experiences slide right off, while negative experiences stick like Velcro. The practice involves 3 steps. Notice positive experiences. Throughout your day, consciously notice moments of beauty, kindness, accomplishment, connection, or simple pleasure. These don't have to be dramatic. They might be as simple as enjoying a good cup of coffee, receiving a text from a friend, or noticing a beautiful sunset. Savor the experience. Instead of letting the positive moment pass quickly, deliberately focus on it for 10-30 seconds. Notice the physical sensations, emotions, and thoughts associated with this positive experience. Absorb it intentionally. Imagine the positive experience soaking into your mind and body like water into a sponge. Some people find it helpful to place a hand on their heart or take a deep breath while doing this. By practicing taking in the good regularly, you can gradually retrain your brain to notice and remember positive experiences more readily, creating a more balanced mental landscape. So strategy 7, scheduled worry time. Paradoxically, one effective strategy for managing negative thoughts involves deliberately scheduling time for them rather than trying to suppress them entirely. This approach acknowledges that some worry and problem-solving thinking can be useful while preventing it from taking over your entire day. How scheduled worry time works. Choose a specific time each day, perhaps 15 to 20 minutes in the early evening as your designated worry time. During this period, you allow yourself to think about problems, concerns, and challenges without restriction. You can write about them, analyze them, or brainstorm solutions. Outside of worry time, when negative thoughts arise, you acknowledge them and say, "I'll think about this during my worry time." Then redirect your attention to whatever you're doing in the present moment. Benefits of this approach: it prevents worry from spreading throughout your day. By containing worry to a specific time, you protect the rest of your day for productive activities and enjoyment. It makes worry more productive. When you worry during a designated time, you're more likely to actually problem solve rather than just spin your wheels mentally. It reduces the urgency of negative thoughts. When you know you have a designated time to address concerns, individual worries feel less pressing. It builds confidence in your ability to manage thoughts. Successfully redirecting worry to a specific time demonstrates that you have more control over your mental content than you might have realized. Making worry time effective. To make your worry time productive rather than just an opportunity for more rumination, write down your worries. This helps externalize them and often reveals that they're less overwhelming than they seemed in your head. Categorize concerns. Divide worries into things I can influence and things I cannot influence. Focus most of your energy on the first category. Generate specific action steps. For worries you can influence, identify concrete steps you could take to address them. Set a timer. Stick to your designated time limit. When the timer goes off, transition to a more pleasant or productive activity. End with something positive. After worry time, deliberately engage in an activity that brings you joy or satisfaction. Strategy 8. Physical interventions for mental patterns. The mind and body are intimately connected, and physical interventions can be remarkably effective for interrupting negative thought patterns. When negative thoughts create physical tension, anxiety, or agitation, addressing the physical component can help calm the mental component as well. Breathing techniques. Controlled breathing is one of the fastest ways to interrupt negative thought spirals and activate your body's relaxation response. The 4-7-8 technique. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 7 counts. Exhale for 8 counts. Repeat 3 to 4 times. Box breathing. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Exhale for 4 counts. Hold empty for 4 counts. Repeat for 2 to 3 minutes. Physical movement. Movement can help discharge the physical energy that often accompanies negative thinking. Take a walk. Even a 5-10 minute walk can shift your mental state significantly. Do jumping jacks or push-ups. Brief physical exercise can interrupt thought patterns and release endorphins. Stretch. Gentle stretching can release physical tension that accompanies mental stress. Dance. Put on music and move your body. This can quickly shift both physical and mental energy. Progressive muscle relaxation. This technique involves systematically tensing and then relaxing different muscle groups, which can help release physical tension and calm mental agitation. Start with your toes, tense them for 5 seconds, then relax. Move to your calves, tense for 5 seconds, then relax. Continue up through your thighs, abdomen, arms, shoulders, and face. Notice the contrast between tension and relaxation. End by relaxing your entire body for 30-60 seconds. Cold water intervention. Splashing cold water on your face or holding ice cubes can activate your body's dive response, which naturally calms the nervous system and can interrupt intense negative thinking episodes. Creating long-term mental resilience. While the techniques we've discussed are powerful for managing negative thoughts in the moment, building long-term mental resilience requires consistent practices that strengthen your overall mental health and emotional regulation capabilities. Daily meditation practice. Research consistently shows that regular meditation practice, even just 10 to 15 minutes daily, can significantly reduce negative thinking patterns and increase emotional resilience. Meditation strengthens the prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive function and emotional regulation, while calming the amygdala, the brain's alarm system. You don't need to achieve a perfectly quiet mind to benefit from meditation. The practice is simply about noticing when your mind wanders into thinking and gently redirecting attention to your chosen focus. Breath, body sensations, or a mantra. Each time you notice mind wandering and redirect attention, you're literally strengthening neural pathways that support emotional regulation. Gratitude practices. Regular gratitude practice can help counteract the brain's negativity bias by training your mind to notice positive aspects of your life more readily. This doesn't mean denying problems or challenges. It means ensuring that positive experiences receive adequate attention in your mental landscape. Effective gratitude practices include daily gratitude journaling. Write down 3 to 5 things you're grateful for each day, focusing on different aspects: relationships, experiences, opportunities, simple pleasures. Gratitude meditation. Spend 5 to 10 minutes each day mentally reviewing things you appreciate. Gratitude letters. Periodically write letters to people who have positively impacted your life. You don't have to send them. Social connection and support. Strong social connections serve as a buffer against negative thinking patterns and provide perspective when you're caught in mental spirals. Cultivate relationships where you can. Share concerns without judgment. Receive honest feedback about your thinking patterns. Experience unconditional positive regard. Engage in activities that bring joy and meaning. Don't hesitate to seek professional support if negative thinking patterns are significantly impacting your daily life, relationships, or overall well-being. Therapists can provide additional tools and perspectives that complement the self-help strategies we've discussed. Lifestyle factors. Several lifestyle factors significantly impact your brain's tendency toward negative thinking. Sleep. Inadequate sleep makes you more vulnerable to negative thinking patterns and reduces your ability to regulate emotions effectively. Prioritize 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep nightly. Exercise. Regular physical activity releases endorphins, reduces stress hormones, and has been shown to be as effective as medication for mild to moderate depression and anxiety. Nutrition. Blood sugar fluctuations, caffeine crashes, and nutrient deficiencies can all increase susceptibility to negative thinking. Focus on stable, balanced nutrition, limiting negative inputs. Reduce exposure to negative news, social media, or conversations that feed negative thinking patterns without providing useful information or solutions. Putting it all together. Your personal action plan. Creating lasting change in your thinking patterns requires a systematic approach that combines multiple strategies and allows for gradual progress. Here's a framework for implementing these techniques in your daily life. Week 1 to 2, foundation building. Begin each day with 5 minutes of breathing meditation. Practice the pause method when you notice negative thoughts. Set a phone reminder twice daily to practice taking in the good. Start a simple gratitude journal, 3 things daily. Week 3 to 4, expanding your toolkit. Add the catch, check, change technique to your practice. Begin scheduled worry time, 15 minutes daily. Practice the 5 to 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique when feeling overwhelmed. Continue foundation practices from weeks 1 or 2. Week 5 to 6, deepening practice. Extend meditation to 10-15 minutes daily. Practice name it to tame it labeling throughout the day. Eliminate should statements by replacing them with prefer or can language. Add physical interventions, movement, breathing when needed. Week 7 to 8, integration and mastery. Use multiple techniques together as needed. Focus on whichever strategies work best for your unique situation. Begin helping others recognize and manage their negative thinking patterns. Plan for maintaining your practice long-term. Remember progress, not perfection. Changing lifelong thinking patterns takes time and patience. You will have days when negative thoughts feel overwhelming despite your best efforts, and that's completely normal. The goal isn't to eliminate all negative thoughts. It's to change your relationship with them so they don't control your emotions, decisions, or quality of life. Celebrate small victories along the way. Notice when you catch a negative thought earlier than you used to, when you're able to redirect your thinking more quickly, or when you feel less emotionally impacted by pessimistic mental content. These small improvements compound over time to create significant changes in your overall mental well-being. Final thoughts. Your thoughts are not your enemy, and you are not powerless against them. With the right understanding, tools, and consistent practice, you can learn to work with your mind in a way that supports your well-being, goals, and relationships. The techniques we've explored in this comprehensive guide have helped millions of people reclaim their mental freedom and create more fulfilling lives. Remember that seeking professional help is a sign of wisdom, not weakness, if negative thinking patterns are significantly impacting your life. Therapists, counselors, and other mental health professionals can provide additional support and personalized strategies that complement the self-help approaches we've discussed. Your journey toward mental freedom begins with a single step. Perhaps the simple act of pausing the next time you notice negative thoughts arising. From that moment of awareness, you have the power to choose your response and gradually build the life you truly want to live. Thank you for joining me on the Mind Shelf for this deep exploration of overcoming negative thoughts. Remember, transformation happens one thought at a time, and you now have the tools to take control of your mental landscape. If this content resonated with you, and you're ready to continue your journey of personal growth and mindset mastery, I encourage you to subscribe to the Mind Shelf and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest insights. Together, we're building minds that thrive, not just survive.